A kid gets exactly what he wants. He makes it into the best band at the best music school. He gets seen by the legendary teacher. He even gets a normal life for a minute. And then, the movie spends the next hour asking a brutal question. If you get what you want, and it still isn't enough, what does it do to you? Here's the tool we're tracking today. In most stories, the mirror moment is the instant a character finally sees themselves. No excuses, no story they've been telling themselves. And that truth triggers the next beat, the transformation. The internal switch, the moment they actually change because of what they just saw. So, it's two different beats, mirror moment, transformation, and then the ending becomes proof in action. In other words, the mirror moment is what triggers the transformation. Now, here's where it gets interesting. In Toy Story, these two beats happen so close together, they almost feel like one. Woody hits the mirror and basically immediately flips. He changes. But they are still two different beats. Whereas in Whiplash, the story gives Andrew the mirror, but it doesn't give him the transformation right away. That second beat gets delayed all the way to the climax, which is why I call it delayed transformation. And this is one of the reasons Whiplash's ending hits so hard. Because the movie is about obsession, and obsession doesn't change when it should. Let's dive in. In my Toy Story video, I called the mirror moment the secret hinge, that internal self-reckoning that upgrades the entire ending. It's the moment the character is forced to ask, who am I? And who have I become? And usually, once that happens, the next beat is transformation, and the finale demands proof in action. Toy Story is the cleanest version of that rhythm. Woody hits the mirror, transforms, and the movie immediately demands proof, the rescue. That's the standard engine. Mirror, transformation, proof. Whiplash is the remix. Whiplash delays the transformation until the climax, so the mirror moment doesn't heal Andrew, it breaks him and leaves him in fog. Then the movie forces him to decide who he is, in the most public, humiliating moment possible. That's why the ending hits like a punch. Now, let's map it in 8 sequences and track 2 things the whole time. Andrew's external goal, what he's doing, Andrew's under-the-surface motivation, what he's really chasing. Because in Whiplash, the goal stays simple, but the motivation gets uglier and uglier. Andrew's want is established in the first breath. Be great, prove he belongs, get into Fletcher's world. External goal, get into the top band. Inner motive, validation, a stamp, I matter. He gets pulled in, false victory, and he asks Nicole out, another small victory. Like the movie is offering him a normal life on the side, but the trap is already set. Andrew thinks greatness is a door. Once it opens, he'll finally feel okay. Normally, sequence 2 is a bridge. Whiplash says, no, sequence 2 is a boss fight. Fletcher destroys him in public. The movie plants the central question. Is Andrew willing to do whatever it takes? Lock-in moment. Andrew doesn't run, he doubles down. This is the spine the whole movie rides. Will Andrew be great? Will Fletcher accept him? Does he have what it takes? After being humiliated, the movie gives Andrew relief, a decent date with Nicole, a breath of humanity, then the big win. Tana loses the chart, Andrew plays from memory, kills it, takes the core spot. External goal, keep the chair. Inner motive, if I earn this, I'm real. This is Whiplash's signature rhythm. Small win, immediate threat, repeat. Family dinner, theme stated in plain language. Greatness over relationships. Then the midpoint choice. Andrew breaks up with Nicole because he decides greatness requires sacrifice. This is huge because it's not him getting better at drums. It's him restructuring his identity. External goal, win the chair war. Inner motive, love is a distraction. Connection is a threat. I'm choosing the void if it makes me great. The midpoint doesn't flip the plot. It reveals the cost. Practice becomes self-harm. Isolation becomes identity. And then Fletcher shows Andrew his other side. The Sean story lands. This means that suffering is the price of greatness. It's seduction. It makes the abuse sound like purpose. And once Andrew buys that idea, the movie puts it to the test. Then comes the hell audition. Hours of drumming, bleeding hands, life or death competition. Andrew wins again. Another false victory. External goal, secure the part. Inner motive, if it hurts, it counts. If I bleed, I'm closer. This is the moment Whiplash makes you feel the high. Maybe Fletcher is right. Maybe this is what greatness looks like. And that's why what comes next feels so violent. Bus, late, panic, forgotten sticks, desperation, car crash, still runs to the stage, blood, collapse, public failure. And this is the mirror moment, no subtlety. Who have I become? It's a literal crash and a spiritual one. Andrew sees himself not as an artist, but as a person so owned by validation, he'll crawl on stage broken just to keep a chair. He attacks Fletcher, end of the dream. And here's the weird magic. In most movies, this is where transformation happens. Mirror moment, then the internal switch. But in Whiplash, it doesn't. The mirror moment happens, and then Andrew goes blank. Andrew quits, testifies, gets expelled. He tries to live normally, and the movie refuses to give him a shiny new goal. Then he stumbles into Fletcher playing jazz beautifully. And Fletcher tells the Charlie Parker story. The ideology returns.
There are no two words in the English language more harmful than good job.
Andrew says yes to the invitation. But notice what the movie is doing. The ending starts without a clean transformation. He's not better, he's just back in orbit. That's delayed transformation. The mirror hits, but the transformation doesn't, because obsession doesn't change on schedule. And then it happens. Andrew realizes this isn't a concert. It's a public humiliation. He tries to survive it. He can't. So he walks off. And in most movies, that's the ending. The kid leaves, the spell breaks, he goes home. But Whiplash isn't about waking up. It's about what you do after you realize the dream is cruel. Because in that hallway, Andrew hits his real mirror. He sees himself finally. Not as a drummer, not as a student, not as Fletcher's guy, but as a person standing at the edge of his life with one question left. If I'm not this, then what am I? And he turns around. He walks back on stage and starts playing without permission. It's a declaration. You don't get to decide. I'm not yours anymore. And that's the transformation Whiplash has been delaying. Not Andrew becoming nicer, not Andrew finding balance. Andrew becoming dangerous in the one language Fletcher respects. And for the first time, Fletcher is the one reacting. The power shifts. And in that final look, the movie lands its punch without answering the moral question for you. Maybe Andrew just won his freedom. Or maybe he just became Fletcher. Here's why Whiplash gets away with delaying transformation. Because the story isn't about change, it's about the cost of not changing until the last possible second. The mirror moment isn't Andrew becoming wise, it's Andrew becoming exposed. And the ending isn't the new Andrew, it's a test that forces him to decide what the mirror meant. That final move, returning to the kid, works because it's not just a plot beat, it's an identity claim. And structurally, Whiplash uses a pressure cooker rhythm. False victory, drop, repeat. So the second half doesn't sag. The only breather is the fog, right before the detonation. In Toy Story, mirror moment triggers transformation quickly. Then the finale demands proof, the rescue. In Whiplash, mirror moment happens, but transformation is delayed until the final minutes. Then transformation and proof collapse into one sustained action. Same tool, two completely different shapes. That's why these tools are so powerful. They are modular. You can move them, you can compress them, you can delay them, as long as the emotional math still adds up. So if Toy Story is the clean, uplifting version of the mirror moment engine, Whiplash is the brutal version. Toy Story says, I see the truth and I change. Whiplash says, I see the truth and I still don't know if I can stop. And then at the last possible second, I choose. And whether that choice is triumph, tragedy, or both, that's why the ending stays in your body. Thank you for watching.